Let's talk today about direct proportion. So direct proportion, one way to think about it is if one value goes up, the other value goes up as well. Officially though, one way to define direct proportion is when two quantities, x and y, vary in such a way that y divided by x is a constant, they are said to be in direct proportion, or y is said to be directly proportional to x. Now, if that's a little confusing, let's take a look at an example. Here's a table. Now, what you'll notice is the number of books increases in value, and also the total cost increases as well. One book will cost $5, two books will cost $10, three books will cost $15, so on and so forth. Now, back to the definition, when y divided by x is a constant. So think about the word constant. What does it always mean? Let's take a look at these values then. Y divided by x. 5 divided by 1 is 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So on and so forth down the line. So if you take a look, y divided by x is always equal to 5. That 5 is a constant. Now, we refer to a constant by using the letter k. So in this case, in our example, k equals 5. Why is k used as a constant? Well, back in the BC, before the Common Era, everything used to be spelled with a k. And it wasn't until Constantine the Great decreed that everything be written with a C instead of a K. And there's your answer. Now, back to direct proportion. So we've talked about a constant. All these values have a constant value of 5 when you take y divided by x. So that means that these values, number of books, and the total cost of all the books are directly proportional. Also, when two quantities, x and y, are in direct proportion, that means x sub 1 divided by x sub 2 will equal y sub 1 divided by y sub 2. So, if that's a little confusing, let's take a look. These are all my x values. And so we're saying x sub 1 divided by x sub 2 is going to equal y sub 1 divided by y sub 2. So if this is x sub 1 and this is x sub 2, then we have 1 over 2 corresponds to y sub 1 and y sub 2. 5 divided by 10. 1/2 equal to 5/10? Yeah, that's true. But let's take a look at these different numbers. Let's take a look at these two x values. Now we have 2 divided by 3. Hey, that's not the same thing as 1/2. They're not. Hold on, settle down. Let's take a look at the corresponding y values. 10 divided by 15. They correspond. And on down the line, if you wanted to check 3 over 4 to 15/20, they are again in direct proportion. So we have two different ways to check whether a set of values is in direct proportion. We can check either by x1 divided by x2 and y1 divided by y2 to see if they are in direct proportion, or we can also find the constant. So two different ways to check for direct proportion. So the equality of two ratios is called a proportion. These are set up as proportions. We can say that y1, y2, x1, and x sub 2 are in proportion. So what does this mean in terms of trying to solve some math problems? Let's take a look. So the total mass of n pieces of chocolate is m grams. It is known that n and m are in direct proportion. So you are being told that they are in direct proportion. There are two different ways to solve this problem. But let's take a look first. When n equals 15, m equals 180. Find m when n equals 20. So what do we need to find first? It depends. It depends on how you want to go about solving this problem. Do you want to find the constant, which is k, or do you want to set up a proportion? Let's think about that for a second. So if we want to solve it by finding the constant, let's change this to red. First thing we're going to do is remember that to get the constant, we'll take y divided by x, and that will get our constant. In this case, what's y and what's x? X is that independent variable. So n pieces of chocolate is what's independent. So we're going to take 180, which is the dependent, the grams of chocolate depends on how many pieces. We're going to divide that by 15, and that gets us 12. 12 is our constant, which means I can take my constant and then use that value to find m when n equals 20. So then I know that 20 times 12 will get 240. So I know that the mass is 240 grams by using the constant. I could also set up a proportion. Let's go with blue. So in this case, I'm going to set it up as x1 over x2 equals y1 over y2. And then, using chartreuse, I cross multiply. So I get 15x equals 20 times 180. 2 times 18 is 36. Add 2 zeros. And then I divide both sides by 15 to isolate x. And so I get x equals 240. So my answer is 240 grams. You'll notice both ways get me the same answer. So it might be helpful to think about using the constant, or it might be helpful to set up a proportion depending on what's given. Let's take a look at one more example. This is a bonus one for you to try on your own. The mass of a square piece of glass panel is directly proportional to the square of the side of the length of its side. When the side is 20 centimeters, the mass is 1,000 grams. Find the mass of a glass panel of side 30 centimeters. We'll talk about this problem tomorrow. Here's a hint. The answer is not 1,500. See ya.